Well, let's go to sport now with Scott Rollinson. And Scott, good win for the Dragons last night in the NRL.
Very good win, Miriam, for the Dragons last night. St George fans will be very happy. It was a win against Cronulla, and the Sharks, after 16 games without a loss, it's now back-to-back losses for Cronulla. They went down to St George by 14 points last night.
It's not just South Africa that Australia will need to beat to get back into this Test series. They'll also need to beat the weather. The forecast is not looking good in Hobart. Up to 30 mils may fall on day one, and it's a similar forecast for day two, meaning not only will there be one eye on the play here at Bellerive Oval, but also a few eyes pointing to the sky.
I think it's one of those ones, the old how long is a piece of string. If we were to go on current speed, you could have them in the later hours tonight. That's not going to happen. It's going to be the early hours of tomorrow morning. Just how early is the question. The Commodore, his pick was 5 a.m. I'm calling it Doc Lotto. You can basically take your pick what time they'll arrive.
Perpetual Loyal smashes the race record. Anthony Bell's boat claims line honours in the 2016 Sydney to Hobart yacht race.
The crew themselves, Anthony Bell, said he was confident. He thought they had a good plan this year and a good race plan. They thought they had good people on board. And for a man who usually talks up the race and has his celebrities on board and does his best to promote the race, he said it was actually a tactic this year to try and avoid the spotlight. Opposition leader Bill Shorten has vowed to confront Israel's Prime Minister over settlements in the West Bank. Benjamin Netanyahu will arrive in Sydney later this week. It's the first time a sitting Israeli leader has made an official trip to Australia.
Let's go now to sport, and a very good afternoon to Scott Rollinson. Scott, great to see you. Let's go to the AFL first. Off-field dramas have hit the game's newest club. This is ahead of the finals.
It is, and not what GWS want to be talking about ahead of their first finals appearance against the Swans next week.
The Diamonds comfortably won the opening match of the 4-Test series in Sydney on Sunday, and they're hot favourites for another victory this evening. Scott Rollinson reports.
Well, Wilco, it's been 30 years since Australia's taken on New Zealand in Launceston. They'll do that at the Silverdome tonight, and they'll be hoping to make it 2 wins from 2 starts in the Constellation Cup after a good win in Game 1. Part of the reason for that win in the first game is Shani Layton. You must be reasonably pleased coming into Game 2.
Yeah, absolutely, but not as pleased as we are to be here in Tasmania.
I'm from Queensland, so it's obvious I'll obviously be going for the Firebirds. So I've had to call in a former Vixens captain from Melbourne to try and play the impartial part today, and it's a very handy hand that can do that for us in Showreel McMahon, the former Australian captain. Showreel, is this becoming almost the best rivalry that you've got on the go in netball at the moment? Internet giant Google is about to launch a hiring raid for Australia's best and brightest hackers. It's a move likely to make life harder for public sector agencies already struggling to fill cybersecurity vacancies. Here's national technology reporter Jake Sturmo. This is a choose-your-own-adventure. It's not a pleasant ending, this one necessarily.
No.
This is the US Open in New York, day 2 of play. We'll get to tennis in a second. This is kind of tennis-related. It involves Bernard Tomic. The captions on screen explain the exchange between the Australian tennis player and a member of the crowd. Whoever that was, that heckler in the crowd disappeared in the second set, but it didn't really make much of a difference. Bernard Tomic lost in 4 sets. He was beaten 7-love in the 4th set tiebreak in the end.